Joe Hopkins here, and today I'm going to talk about something that I hear a lot of people mention. I know a lot of guitarists, and something I hear a lot from other guitarists is, I'd love to learn this instrument, or I'd love to learn that instrument. And usually they're instruments that, whether people realize it or not, are not that hard to switch over to from the guitar. And I was going to go over some of this with you guys, because I'm sure some of you out there would love to learn the banjo or the mandolin or some other stringed instrument. And I'm going to go over it a little bit to show you how it's not that hard. You don't have to just dream of doing it. You can do it. You really can. I'm going to start with the one that, oh, by the way, some of these instruments I haven't played in a while, so old strings on them, I'm having trouble keeping them in tune. I just tuned them all up. I'm hoping for the best, so just bear with me. If some of them aren't exactly in the best of tuning or the strings sound like crap, it's because some of these I haven't played in a while. I've mostly been doing, rock music lately, and I haven't been playing a lot of folk, so I haven't broken them out much. I got to change some strings when I get the chance, right? But we're going to start with the ukulele, right? Now, I've done videos about ukuleles before, and I know it's not usually the first thing a guitarist says, hey, I want to learn to play that. But the really cool thing about it is it's easy to go over to this from the guitar. It's retardedly easy to go over to this from the guitar because it's a guitar. Whether or not you realize it, the ukulele is pretty close to what guitars were several hundred years ago. And now, well, we call them ukuleles, right? Europeans brought them to the Pacific Islands. In Europe, the guitar changed into what we know and love today. And in the Pacific, it just stayed like this. And so this is really a guitar. And it's tuned like a guitar that's capoed on the 5th fret. Trying to remember, I know it's E. Hold on. Instead of being like a guitar, it's like capoed, yeah, G, C, E, A. There we go. So your E string is now an A string. Same intervals though, right? So it's the same intervals on the guitar. It goes up by fourths. So it's all the same chord shapes, just on the top 4 strings. Just remember though, what would be the lowest string is now tuned an octave up. So that's a high string. But the chord shapes are the same. Just imagine a guitar capoed on the 5th fret. So it's real easy to transition over from. All the chord shapes you know on the guitar work on this. The other cool thing is you don't have to do bar chords. You have 4 fingers. There are 4 strings. Makes it kind of easy. I mean, sometimes you do bar it, but you don't really have to. You can find a way to not have to. If you struggle with bar chords, you can move it up the whole thing a lot easier, right? Let's see here. I'm just barring 2 strings on that. And, you know, if you get a little more dexterity in your pinky, you might not have to bar them at all. Point is, this is like the guitar, but actually easier. It's a lot easier to play. And for anybody that plays hammer claw banjo, because you have that string tuned an octave up there, it kind of gives it that same feel, you know? So you can play hammer claw, like you would on the banjo, on a ukulele. For anybody out there that's into banjo picking. And if you want an easier uke, I have a baritone uke, right? That's the same as the guitar, right? D, G, B, E. The baritone uke really is just a small 4-string guitar. And it's tuned just like the highest 4 strings on a guitar. So all your chords are the same. This has really old strings on it, and it's not the finest of instruments, but you get the idea, right? And these don't cost a lot of money. Ukuleles tend to be kind of cheap, and they're fun, especially for us guitarists. It's a guitar that you can stick in a backpack and take anywhere, right? the ukulele is my first pick for an instrument that a guitarist can easily go over to. Now, let me see here. Second pick is one that I hear all the time people saying they would love to learn to play, and that's the banjo, right? This is my Ida resonator banjo. It's loud, you can hear it. Like, I'm just using this mic today. I don't have the clip on because I'm playing instruments. You won't be able to hear them, and you can hear how much louder this is than my voice. Yeah, it's a loud instrument. The cool thing about the banjo is there are a lot of different kinds of banjos. If you don't want to have to relearn anything, get a 6-string banjo. It's basically a guitar that with a banjo body, right? 6-string banjo, it's easy to switch over to because it's just like the guitar. They have 4-string banjos that are tuned differently than other banjos are. I'm not sure. I don't have a tenor banjo or other types of 4-string banjos. You have uke banjos, right, which is a ukulele banjo. It's a ukulele with a banjo body. So that can be pretty convenient. They're 4 strings. This is what most people think of, though, and that's a 5-string bluegrass banjo. Right, you got this little high string here. I have it tuned to an open G, which means you tune it pretty much like you would a guitar. Let's see, D, G, B, and that E string is tuned down to a D. And then your high string, the short one, is a G. That's an open G tuning. But they have other tunings like C, double C, and other bluegrass tunings, or you can just tune that high string up to an E, but be careful, sometimes they break when you do that. I've run into that before. And there are other types of drop tunings for banjo, which isn't like drop tuning for guitar. It's not like a metal thing. There's a lot of traditional folk music that's done in different types of dropped tunings on the banjo. But the cool thing about the banjo is if you can play the guitar, it's very similar. It's tuned similarly if you want it to be. It has frets. The neck feels very similar, just a little thinner because there's fewer strings. If you do any type of finger picking on the guitar, it carries over. Having trouble. You know. These strings are really old. I need to change them. My fingers are hanging up on them. Something awful. But let's say you're switching over from the guitar, and like me, you don't want to relearn all the finger picking stuff because it's a little bit different for the banjo. I learned hammer claw, which is easy. And this is what I tell all of my guitarist friends when they say, I want to learn the banjo, but it seems hard. Hammer claw, it's easy. It's one motion. You start with frailing. You strum, and then pluck that high string with your thumb. You kind of do a pluck, strum, flick. It's the first movement is a little flick, and then strum, and then pluck. That's pretty easy stuff. And any guitarist can learn that in a couple of days, just that one motion. Took me, I don't know, 3 or 4 days to really get that down. And then you start you're in an open tuning, so you can just kind of do hammer-ons and play around with it, you know? And you have your basic chords, which are the same chord shapes that you would have on the guitar, except since this is tuned to open G, you got to move that low string, or the high string, up 2 frets on all your chords. So a C, you'd make the C, but then put that ring finger down. And since this is down to a D, on D chords, you can leave it open. And it's not that difficult to learn. Once you get that motion down, it's just learning the chords in whatever tuning you prefer. And like I said, there are a lot of different tunings for the banjo. I play open G. You can pick any one you want. It's just a matter of learning the chords, excuse me, And as you can see, since it's a fretted instrument, it's very similar to what you're used to. And even with the hammer claw, if you want to do fancier stuff, you can start to kind of get that same motion, but move your thumb around, pluck different strings individually, and do fancier stuff. Yeah, now that sounds fancy, but it's not that hard to learn. And I know it's a little rusty. I haven't been playing the banjo. Like I said, old strings. But either way, you get the idea. It's not hard to learn, especially as a guitarist. It wasn't that hard for me to pick up. Especially once I discovered hammer claw and frailing. That is so easy. For any guitarists that want to learn the banjo, that's a great way to go. Another great instrument is the mandolin. If you play the guitar, this feels familiar, right? You see it's got 8 strings, but don't let that intimidate you. It's really 4 double sets of strings, kind of like on a 12-string guitar, how there's sets of 2. It's for volume, right? It's tuned actually like a violin as G, D, A, E. And another nice thing about that, being tuned like a violin, is if you want to get into playing the fiddle, this is a great intermediary instrument. You can get this and get used to it. It's like a fiddle that you play like a guitar, more or less. That's kind of what the mandolin is. Now, I play the fiddle a little bit, and this is where I started playing the mandolin first and then got a violin. I'm not that good at the violin, right? Never was. I started to get kind of good. I don't practice it enough. But the mandolin is an instrument that is just real easy to go over to from the guitar. You have to learn the chords differently because it's tuned different. But that's not that hard. You do the same as you would for a guitar. You buy a chord book and you learn the chords, you know? And you might be able to hear it. These strings are kind of old. But that's okay. I'll replace them when I need to. I'm thinking of doing a folk country album, kind of roots. I'll have to replace some strings when I do that. But either way, this is an instrument that's easy to go over to from the guitar because it does feel familiar. You know, and it's like with the ukulele, you have fewer strings to worry about. It's really a 4-string instrument. It's tuned in fifths, but, you know, and you can learn some, like, lead stuff. Yeah, something like that. Something like that. Like I said, I'm rusty on these. Haven't practiced some of these instruments, but I'm glad I'm picking them up today because I need to practice some more, and I'm loving this, you know? Something like that. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, you get the idea. This is an excellent instrument to learn if you're a guitarist and you want to try something new. The really cool thing is they make a lot of different types of mandolins, including electric ones, right? And not just the kind that have the plug on them. This doesn't. But some of them, like with guitars, they have a piezo pickup. But I've seen them where they actually have solid body electric mandolins. Actually, Harley Benton sells one. It looks like a little baby Telecaster. You know what I mean? It's got like the same pickup configuration, and it's got 4 strings instead of 8, but it's still tuned like the same, G, D, A, E. And it's like an electric solid body mandolin, which is something I keep meaning to get, and I just haven't gotten around to. But yeah, these are just a few of the instruments that if you are a guitarist, they're easy to switch over to. They're easy to learn if you want to. Because like I said, I haven't met hardly any guitarist that once they learned the guitar, they didn't want to learn something else. Usually the banjo or the fiddle. And the mandolin is a great instrument to, if you want to learn the fiddle and you play the guitar, learn this one first and it'll help you learn the fiddle, because the fiddle's nothing like the guitar. Totally different kind of thing. It's a bow instead of a pick. You have to relearn a lot. But at least if you pick this up first, you can learn the kind of like the hand positions and the tunings. You're just going from here to here, you know. But either way, just thought I'd share that with you guys. And it's a great excuse to break out some instruments I haven't played in a while. And it shows. I'm really rusty. And so are the strings on some of these. But anyway, I digress. It's starting to sound like an excuse, right? No excuses. No excuses for me. I need to pick up these instruments and practice them more. So hey, I hope you guys liked this video. If you did like this video, you should subscribe to my channel. And here in a minute on the end screen, there's going to be some playlists. If you check out the reviews playlist, I've done a number of reviews, not just on guitars, but on some of these other instruments that would be worth checking out. So if you are thinking of taking up the mandolin or the banjo or the fiddle or something like that, check out, go through the reviews playlist and see if I've reviewed something that is interesting to you. Because, you never know. I got some songs too, and they're pretty good, and I got a songs playlist. And I've been running my jaw enough. I'll see you guys in the next video, all right? I love you guys. Peace out, baby. Bye-bye.